The act of murder is horrible. Taking someone's life is final. There's no taking it back. There is no good reason for such a horrible thing. We can try to find a reason why things happen, but we will never fully understand. I myself will never fully understand how someone can take their own child's life, no matter what the age of the child is. How can a parent take their own child's life? A life that they helped bring into this world. In this video, I'm going to talk about a man who murdered his own son. Law enforcement doesn't know the full motive behind what happened. The dad and the son might be the only two people who know the full reason why this horrible thing happened on December 26th of 2017. Before I begin, if you have any questions about where I get the information at for this video or for any other video, please check out the video description box. That is where I list the info resources for each video. So let's get started. I am Bill Swafford and this is Murderers in Ohio.
So we got a killer on a run in Ohio.
The case that I'm going to talk about in this video is out of Preble County, Ohio. Preble County is in the southwestern part of the state. It is about an hour and a half north of Cincinnati. It is right by the Indiana state line. I did a video of a quick trip to Preble County, so if you want to, make sure you check that out. The articles that I read about this case speak of a man from Lewisburg, Ohio. I've been out to where this happened, and it's more around the village of West Sonora, which is about 2 minutes north of Lewisburg. This is not too far from the Preble County, Darke County line. Around 5:45 p.m. on December 27th of 2016, 911 operators would get a call from 58-year-old Gabriel Schaaf. He had told 911 operators that he had come home and found his son on the living room floor. So this happened only 2 days after Christmas Day in 2016. Preble County Sheriff's deputies would go out to 3994 Sonora Road. I actually went out past the house to see the location. Here's a quick video of that. It's a one-story home. The house don't look that old. When law enforcement entered the home, they found 29-year-old Jonathan Schaaf on the living room floor. He had been covered up with a towel. Jonathan was face down in his own blood. It had to be clear that Jonathan had been murdered. Law enforcement did question Gabriel about his son's death. His son Jonathan had been living at the house. Gabriel said that when he left for work, Jonathan had been asleep on the couch. When he returned home from work, he found the door open and Jonathan on the floor. That's not all he told law enforcement, though. He also told law enforcement that Jonathan had been receiving death threats from at least 2 men and 1 woman. Preble County Detectives would start an investigation. They would receive help from the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation Crime Scene Unit. December 27th of 2016 was on a Tuesday. Law enforcement would get a warrant to go over the crime scene. They spent Tuesday evening and part of Wednesday the 28th at the scene looking for evidence. Gabriel had also told detectives that when he had come home he found some things out of place, even though nothing was taken from the home. A little bit about Jonathan. Jonathan was 29 years old. He had 2 daughters. It is said that Jonathan liked to go hunting. He loved music, liked bonfires. Basically, he liked being outside. Law enforcement would look into what Gabriel said about his son receiving death threats from 3 individuals. However, Gabriel was a person of interest in his son's murder. A coroner would report that Jonathan had suffered from multiple sharp and blunt force injuries. It appeared as though multiple weapons had been used. Jonathan had been hit in the head several times, shattering his skull and causing severe brain bleeding. Then he was struck in the neck 5 times with something sharp. One of the injuries had cut through the spinal column, almost decapitating Jonathan. This was a violent attack on Jonathan Schaaf. It was up to the Preble County Detectives to figure out who could have done such a horrible thing. All the leads that they followed that was given to them by Gabriel basically led to nowhere. So the detectives turned their attention back to Gabriel Schaaf and all the evidence that they did have. First off, there was things about Gabriel's statement that did not add up. Second, the condition of Jonathan's body and the blood on the floor suggested that Jonathan had been dead 24 hours before law enforcement got there. The third reason why they really started looking at Gabriel as a suspect was that they found DNA evidence underneath Jonathan's fingernails. That DNA would be tested, and they found out that DNA belonged to Gabriel Schaaf. DNA underneath someone's fingernails usually means that there was a struggle, there was a fight. Jonathan did not go down easily. In February of 2017, law enforcement would call Gabriel and leave a message. They wanted him to come in for more questions. However, Gabriel would call them back and leave a message of his own, saying that he talked to a lawyer and they advised him not to talk to the detectives. On June 8th of 2017, law enforcement would drive out to the home on Sonora Road. Gabriel was on his riding mower mowing his grass. The detectives would question Gabriel for an hour, and for this whole hour interview, Gabriel sat on his riding lawnmower. The detectives confronted Gabriel about the parts of his statement that did not add up, and they also let him know that they had DNA evidence. 25 minutes into that interview, Gabriel admitted to what he had done. Gabriel had said that on December 26th, him and Jonathan had gotten into an argument. He said that Jonathan was holding a rifle during this argument. At some point in the fight, Gabriel had a stick in his hand. Then at another point in the fight, he had a hatchet. He used a large wooden stick to beat his son over the head. Then he used a hatchet to try to finish his son off. Gabriel claimed that he did what he'd done in self-defense. He admitted that he made the 911 call to deflect the suspicion away from him. Gabriel was arrested and transported to the police station. Then he was transported to the Preble County Jail. That is where he waited to go on trial at the Eaton Municipal Courthouse. Gabriel Schaaf was charged with aggravated murder and tampering with evidence. Most people know that phone calls made by jail inmates are recorded at all county jails. During Gabriel's time in the Preble County Jail, he had talked to several different family members. He had told these family members that his son Jonathan had caused his own injuries. Now, how do you nearly cut your own head off with a hatchet? That just don't make no sense. I have not seen anything that states that Gabriel showed any kind of remorse for what he had done to his son. Law enforcement would state that the true motive is unclear. They said that Gabriel wanted his son dead and he acted swiftly. So that leaves me wondering, what was the argument about? Was there even an argument in the first place? Did the son figure out something about the dad that dad did not want anyone to know? Gabriel would go on trial in front of a 12-member jury panel. In January of 2018, Gabriel Schaaf was found guilty of aggravated murder and tampering with evidence. Gabriel was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, which means he'll be eligible for parole when he's around 85 years old. Committing a murder like this is awful, no matter who the victim is. The fact that a dad did this to his own son, then went around and acted like he'd done nothing wrong, is horrifying. To me, it just sounds like pure evil. I don't know. Please make sure you hit that like button. It will help out the video and the channel. If you are not a subscriber to Murders in Ohio, make sure you subscribe now. That way you can see more true crime from the state of Ohio. Thank you for joining me for this video. I am Bill Swafford, and this has been Murders in Ohio.
We got the devil on the run in Ohio.